Hi, welcome to the Morton Matchday Programme. Coming up in today's show, we'll be hearing the thoughts of manager Dougie Imrie ahead of the Ross County game tomorrow. There's a Morton Club Together update with David Whitten. We've a brand new occasional feature called My Morton, and we'll be talking to a former Morton great and hearing about a charity auction that we're doing online. Plus, there's an interview with Zach Mackay and an exclusive interview with a young player of the year who's come back to the Ton on loan. First up though, here's Dougie.
Gaffer, just starting off, we've obviously seen the news today that Aaron Lyle has returned to the club. How pleased are you to get that bit of business done?
Yeah, I'm first of all, I'm delighted to get a player of Aaron's ability back into the club. You know, he's a massive player for us last season, and we were disappointed to lose him over the summer, but obviously we couldn't deny him his move to Ross County. For whatever reason, it's not worked out there for him so far, but listen, we're just delighted to get him in, and he'll be a massive part of us going forward. Yeah,
in terms of last season, I don't think he missed a game, so you know how reliable a player he's going to be. Unfortunately, with the timing of it, we're not going to see him in action tomorrow, but I suppose you'll be looking forward to getting him out there soon enough.
100%, you know, I think he played 45 out of 46 games for us in terms of starts, which is phenomenal for a kid of his age. But again, I think we've got a better player back in the building. You know, that's what we're trying to build here. You know, we're trying to build a competitive squad, and Alan certainly brings a competitive edge to the team. You know, his flair, his enthusiasm, his eye for a pass will be invaluable. Certainly when we're trying to build up the game from back to front. So yeah, listen, you know, over the last couple of weeks we've brought in some really key players, some very good players, top quality players. So listen, we're trying to make the squad as best we can and make it a lot more competitive all over the pitch.
And up against Ross County tomorrow, how are you looking ahead to that one?
Yeah, it'll be a really tough game. I think Ross County are in a really false position. You know, they've got too good a squad to be where they are, but they're there for a reason. You know, they're obviously lacking in something at the moment, but like I say, I don't like talking about other teams. You know, like I say, they've got good players, top players, a very good manager as well. So I'm sure they'll be looking to turn the corner really quickly. But again, with us being at home, we want to take the game to Ross County and make sure we start to pick up, like I say, important wins.
Yeah, you mentioned there, us obviously coming back home, coming off the back of 2 strong points on the road, but like you say, we're trying to take that one step further tomorrow.
Yeah, being at home, Gareth, if you want to win every game at home, you know, you have to make Capello a fortress. I think in the time I've been here, we've done that, you know. But we understand, or I certainly understand, the frustration of everyone. There's no one more frustrated myself with the draws we've had, but we are picking up points which will be valuable points coming into the season. But we just want to get that first win. You know, we've got a very young squad, Gareth, this season. You know, we've got the 3rd youngest squad in the league. It takes time to gel. And we've seen that in the previous seasons, and in my time here we seem to start very slow, and then we hit a purple patch, but we would like that purple patch to come sooner rather than later.
You mentioned there about the team gel, and it certainly does seem to look as if it's coming along though. You know, there has been some good moments in those games.
No, listen, we certainly, I can only take the last 3 games for instance. You know, we've had more possession, more shots, more entry into the box, more crosses. So certainly in that front we're looking more of a team. We look more organised, we look more gelled. Everybody's starting to get to know each other's jobs, but we all want to win games, and that's probably my biggest frustration. Is so far we haven't picked up that win, but I'm certainly sure once it comes, then we'll pick up more as we go along.
Yeah, and in terms of building momentum as well, it could be a real good momentum builder and starting that.
Of course, against the top team, like I say, I think they're certainly in a false position. You know, I've watched their game back for Saturday, and at times it was one-way traffic. Obviously the sending off makes it a little bit easier for Queen's Park, but we have to take advantage of their fragileness. You know, they're very fragile at the moment. You lose a goal, then they seem to capitulate a little bit. So we have to be on the front foot. We have to try and get the first goal tomorrow, and try and get them on the back foot.
Yeah, and in terms of trying to go out there and get the first goal tomorrow as well, you obviously want to try and make Capel a tough place for these teams to come.
100%, you know, that's always been the aim when I've been here, is make this is a tough place to come. You know, everybody doesn't like coming here for one simple reason, is they don't get a minute to breathe, and we have to do that tomorrow. You know, we understand that with the players that they do have, that they may have a lot of the ball, but we want to have a lot of the ball, and we want to make sure we're going forward. We want to make sure we're giving our strikers opportunities to put the ball in the net. We want to get our wide players on the ball and put the ball in the box, and we want the rest of the team to make sure the gaps between back to front are very, very short and narrow, and keep the pressure on Ross County. Listen, we understand the game will be difficult, but it's a game that we should all be looking forward to.
And I know we mentioned last week prior to the Arbroath game the strength and depth that you've got for the squad, but you spoke after the game as well about the impact that subs are having in games. How pleased are you with these boys that are coming onto the game late on and making a real impact? Well,
as a manager, that's all we can ask. You know, that players should be unhappy that they're not starting, which first and foremost you want as a manager. You don't want anybody except being left out or being on the bench. So, but on your point, it's, well, the reaction I've seen from players has been very good. You know, I thought Morton, when he came on Saturday, was excellent. Michael Garrity the previous week, he's got himself in the team against Arbroath. But yeah, everybody, you know, Zach Mackay coming on against Queen's Park, so everybody's fighting for the jersey. I think back to front we've been really solid. I think the defence is now starting to look like a proper defence. The middle of the pitch we're looking okay, but it's just that final part, like every other team struggles with, is getting the ball in the net. And like I say, we just have to do a little bit more, whether that's final pass, final shot, final cross, that we start to give our strikers and wide players and midfielders hitting the box more service that hopefully can get us more goals.
And how is your squad selection shaping up for tomorrow?
Yeah, everybody's should be okay, apart from obviously the notable absentees over the last couple of weeks. Chris Moore will be added to that probably, with the nasty head collision he got last week. He needed 6 stitches, but it's in a position where, yeah, if he's going to head the ball, the likelihood is it could split open again, so we'll have to give him probably another week to let it settle. And yeah, Keane Taylor's still a couple of weeks away. Michael Harlan should be back in the fold next week. Ali comes back into the fold as he was last week. So yeah, obviously Aaron's unavailable through parent club, so yeah, we'll have a strong squad as normal. But like I say, going into next week, then people will understand that the squad's now really competitive. There's got to be 3 or 4 miss out week on week, so it's up to them now to make sure they're in, first of all in the 11 and then in the squad.
Our thanks to Dougie there, always good to get the view from the manager. Coming up shortly, we'll have an MCT update with David Whitten, and we've got that brand new feature, My Morton, where a Morton supporter tells us about his own personal journey supporting the club. However, coming up next, as many of you know, we have special guests in hospitality this weekend who are former captain Jim McAllister and Alex Williams. Alex, as many of you are aware, has kindly donated these 3 Young Player of the Month awards for our charity auction. He came down to Capello this week earlier to give us the awards and also to sit down with me and have a chat about his time at Capello. Alex, first of all, great to see you back at Capello. Thanks for joining us today. We'll get to these big lads a wee bit later in the interview, but very, very quickly, just want to ask you about your time at Morton, because you were a legend here, a hero to the support. But how did your signing come about?
So, I was playing for Stirling Albion, and then I heard that Dougie Ray was keen, and one of my last games at Stirling, I heard he turned up. So he told me he was at that game, and I scored against Brecon away. So he travelled all the way there, and then I got a phone call to go and speak to him. And once you talk to him, you know what I mean, and he's a wee enthusiastic guy. You know, I loved him. I loved Dougie, and aye.
It's a lot of money, £50,000.
Yeah, at the time it was. As you said, no many teams were buying players back then, especially. I think Morton were really struggling. They were like close to like going out, weren't they?
Yeah.
And then Dougie stepped in, and it was. But I think he was showing his intentions, where he wanted to go and what he wanted to do.
And we were looking back, particularly your first season. I was looking at your stats, and you seem I don't just mean you seem to score a goal every week. You seem to score about 2 or 3 goals.
Yeah, that first season was great. You know, I did score quite a bit. I was I was doing well and the team were doing well. But it was, if you look at that league, I think that the teams in that, I think it was like maybe 3 or 4 that were all level, par, with pushing to try and win that league. I think as it went down to the last day, as we remember. But it was actually quite tough. But because some of these big boys, you know what I mean? They're big boys, cause up from up north and all that, you know, just big battering rams. But yeah, that was an amazing year. That, and also we went to Ibiza after that. We all had a right good team bonding session there.
Is that what they call it?
Aye, it was good. Cowboy looked after us.
I mean, great times, obviously, when you were here. You were a hero to the crowd. What was it like being out there and scoring in front of big crowds? Because we're talking about Sinclair Street end at one point. Yeah,
so when I was playing, like, you take it on your stride, you know, and get on with it, and it just becomes a habit, you know, just constantly wanting to get the goals, constantly wanting to make people happy. I wasn't really happy if I wasn't scoring, but it wasn't, as we were talking earlier about when I went back to the 150th anniversary. I mean, when I spoke to loads of people there, that I realised how much impact that when I was scoring all the goals and playing well did. At the time I never realised, but when I speak to people now, it's it was overwhelming. Yeah,
and as you said, you had a particular penchant for scoring in the Sinclair Street end more than anyone else.
I love scoring at that end. I don't know why. I just couldn't. I was thinking about it the other day. Like that end, the way end, I couldn't really get many there. I did score a couple, but no many. But most of my goals were there, that side.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about this, because we've got something that's fairly substantial here, I would say. You've got 3 Young Player of the Month awards here from that first season you were here banging in all the goals. And you very, very kindly decided to put it through the club, and we're going to auction them off individually and raise money for the neonatal unit at Wishaw General. So, first of all, thanks for the gesture. And secondly, what was your inspiration for doing this?
Again, when I was at the 150th, the amount of people that were telling me they had certain items from when I was playing, certain memories they had, and you know, these mean the world to me, right? But for other people associated with Morton, I felt it would be, if they've still got stuff like what they were telling me they had, then these could maybe make some people a wee bit happier, you know, and then obviously raise some money for the hospital as well. So yeah, it was no brainer, you know what I mean? Especially after you asked me to come down to hospitality, what better time to arrange it and sort it.
Well, Alex, first of all, it's an absolute delight to see you. It is a magnificent gesture that you've given us here and the opportunity to raise money. So thanks for coming along today, and once again, thanks for that. Details, of course, on how you can bid for the auction items are on our website.
I'm Ian McGillivray. I'm a lifelong Morton fan. I went to my first match in April 1969. It was against Clyde. I was 4 years old. I don't remember a great deal about it, but I know it was a one-each draw. Then I started going seriously from the 70-71 season. I loved that team, Billy Osborne, Joe Mason, players like that, and then I was hooked. I would say my favourite Morton player of all time is probably Yanni Lindberg, just because he's such an influence on the park, such a fantastic central midfielder. But I would also mention guys obviously like Andy Ritchie, Jim Holmes, Brown Alexander were all guys that were real heroes of mine as well. My most memorable moment as a Morton fan, and I've had a few, but I would need to go back to when I was 11 years old and I won a competition to be the Morton mascot. I had the honour of leading the team out on New Year's Day 1976. It was a derby against St Mirren, and we beat them 1-0 with a late goal from John Goldthorpe. It was just a stunning day for me as a wee boy to meet those players, lead the team onto the pitch, take shots in at Roy Baines and Dublin in goal. I'll never forget it. Another favourite moment of mine was actually took place exactly 12 years ago today. You can see the t-shirt I'm wearing when Dougie Emery scored the famous penalty at Celtic Park and we knocked Celtic out of the League Cup. That was a phenomenal night for me and I think for all the Morton fans that were lucky enough to be there. We were up against it. Celtic had us pinned back for most of the match, but we got the penalty, so it was fantastic. We cheered when we got the penalty, we cheered when we scored the goal, and we went absolutely mental at full time when we had actually beaten them. So it was a phenomenal night. Actually, the next game after that, we were at Dens Park away, and talking about coming back down to earth. We lost 3-1, and I actually was the first Morton fan to arrive in the stand that day at Dens Park. I came up, went to take my seat, the Morton players were warming up in the goalmouth in front of me, and they actually gave me a round of applause for being the first Morton fan into the stadium that day, which was an incredible experience. It was funny, but I sat there for 10 or 15 minutes on my own watching the team warm up. So that was a fantastic day as well. When we beat Celtic, but as I say, right back down to earth on the Saturday against Dundee. I would say the current squad, my favourite player is Ian Wilson. I just feel as though he's really, really consistent. He does that job in the centre of midfield and he's a guy who never hides. He seems to just, to me, to epitomise what Morton should be all about.
David, first of all, thank you for sitting down today to provide this update, and of course congratulations on your recent election to the position of chair of MCT. Starting off, could you just give us a bit of background about yourself, your time supporting the club, and what your motivation was to take up your position within MCT?
Yeah, of course, guys. First of all, thank you for inviting us along. I think it's great for MCT to have a slot, and certainly the first of many, we hope, over the next 6 months or so. For me, I started supporting Morton probably when I was about 14 or 15, the 94-95 season, the Finns coming over, so Rajamaki, Lindberg, along with McInnes and others, might have been down a few divisions, but getting promotion, things like that kind of last with you for quite a long time. And for me, just really supporting the club from there on, kind of fell away in, mid-late 20s and then back again a little bit later. For me, running for MCT was really just about, from standing in the cowshed every week to actually thinking, there's something there that you can give back, you can help. I think it was quite a turbulent time this year, so I think anything I can do to help really was the motivation. So here for the next 3 years anyway to try and see what we can do to improve the club and MCT.
As I mentioned already, you obviously recently just elected to the board of MCT, but it was with a number of other additions as well. How do you see the position of MCT evolving now?
Yeah, so there was myself and 5 others were elected at the AGM back in August. Everybody's, we've met a few times now, we're getting to know each other, everybody's really excited. Lots of good skills across the group, and I think everybody's kind of excited to see what we can do going forward. I think the reality is there's a lot of hard work in the next year. There's a lot to do, there's a lot to re-engage. The Dorada deal coming up for renewal again next year, so there's lots of exciting times ahead.
And I suppose as well, how's the relationship been between MCT and the club, and what are your hopes, I suppose, for that moving forward? Yeah,
I mean, obviously over the summer we tried to spend as much time talking. The interim board met with the club board a couple of times, just to keep communication there, start to build some of the relationships. And since the AGM and the new boards came in, obviously we've been spending a lot of time to get to know each other. We've had Graham, our club board rep, in, which was great. He spent some time with the new directors, getting to know each other and answer questions. And we're in the process of planning our first joint board meeting, and trying to schedule out, joint meetings for the rest of the season. Working on how do we share information informally and formally. So I think there's been a real acknowledgement that in order for everyone, the club, we need to work together, and how we do that is, really paramount. So it's been a real focus for everyone over the last couple of months, and certainly something that will be a focus for the next few months ahead.
Yeah, and there's no doubt a lot of areas that you're looking to work on at the moment, but what do you view as a key priority over the next 6 months?
Yeah, I think there's probably 2 or 3 main areas. You're absolutely right. We could come up with a list of about 20 things. The reality is we need to remember that we need to deliver against the things that we say we're going to do. And it probably comes down to a few areas. So probably first and foremost is continuing that working relationship with the club and also Morton and the community. I was in today at the club meeting with both of those organisations about how we work together, and that's great. There's some good open dialogue about how each party can help each other and work together. So I think that's kind of really paramount as to how we go forward. I think that's certainly the first pillar. The second pillar is then going to be around engagement. So we need to make sure that we are engaging our members, and how we do that. So looking at how we widen our reach, how we communicate, and back to basics as well. So we don't have to do everything right away, but we want to show that progression. And probably the most important one is it is that reset of MCT. So we need to be making sure that over the next 6 months we can prove to everyone, we've re-established ourselves. We are back to, what are we here to do? We're here to help, support and run the club. We're here to ensure that there's sustainability, and that when we done our member survey at the end of last year, what was quite clear is, remaining a debt-free club. So that engagement, I think, will definitely continue.
Yeah, like you mentioned there, a key word that you're using is engagement with the supporters, with the members. What would be your message to fans tuning in for how they can help MCT and the club moving forward, and how they can engage?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, fundamentally, we are a members' organisation, so we are here to represent our members. We know that in order for us to progress, it's about understanding what our members want. So there's a couple of things. So ultimately, we need to re-engage members. We need to work with our members to make sure we're clear on how we do that. We will be going back out to re-establish the operational groups that were put in place about a year ago, and we'll be looking to bring in volunteers. So anyone who's interested in helping support MCT, you don't have to be a director to support the organisation. As part of those groups, you can volunteer some of your time and help us progress. If you're not a MCT member already, then really think about, as a community organisation, we need as many of the Morton support to join MCT, so that we've got more focus and more voice, and MCT is a way for your voice to be heard and to help run and help support the club. So yeah, I think just be engaged, and if you're not already a member, certainly I would consider joining up. There's a lot to be done over the next year or two. This season's probably quite an important one, about making sure going forward we can re-establish what it means to be a community organisation.
Thanks to David for that update from Morton Club Together. We hope you also enjoyed the brand new feature, My Morton. And what a magnificent gesture from Alex Williams to donate those 3 Young Player of the Month awards to raise money for the Wishaw neonatal unit. If you want to get involved in that, all the details are online. We close our show today with a chat with Zach Mackay, and we also have an exclusive interview with the on-loan Young Player of the Year, Aaron Lyle, who's come back to the club. Remember to get down to Capello this Saturday and back the boys. Thanks for tuning in.
Zach, it's Ross County at home tomorrow afternoon. How are you feeling personally, and how are the boys ahead of this one?
Yeah, personally feeling good. I think obviously we go in with the mindset to win the game. Obviously we know it'll be a tough one with them obviously coming down last season, having that Premiership quality, but I know obviously the results haven't went their way, so hopefully we can take advantage of that.
And how's training been this weekend? I suppose what's the message been from the gaffer to yourself and the team?
Very much the same as kind of every other week. Obviously we know it'll be a tough game, but I think it's just about doing what we've been doing in the past games and then just trying to finally get that cutting edge to open the team up and come away with 3 points. And
we've been on the road the last couple of weeks, but coming back here to Capo, I know how much the gaffer wants to try and make this a real tough place to come for away teams, and I suppose tomorrow our chance to do that.
Yeah, I think kind of the home games you kind of want to be picking up maximum 3 points, so I think obviously we get the fans behind us and if they get going, and hopefully we can come away with 3 points and get that first win of the season.
And for yourself as well, you seem to have really been making an impact recently, coming onto the pitch late in the game. How have you been finding it recently?
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I think obviously disappointing not to start games, but I've got to show in the cameos that I get from off the bench what I can do, and hopefully just keep doing that and keep trying to push for a start.
And overall, how have you been finding your time at the club?
Yeah, loving it. I think it's been good getting into that kind of full-time football again. Obviously I was about a year and a half out of full-time, but that's definitely where I want to be, back in full-time, so yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, you mentioned that coming back into a full-time environment after a wee bit of time out. How have you found it readjusting?
Yeah, it's been tough. Obviously it's a lot different from part-time, but that's the challenge that I wanted to set myself, kind of get back into full-time football, and I'm here doing it and I just want to stay here.
And what's some of the conversations with the gaffer been like since your arrival at the club, and what he sort of sees for you this season?
Yeah, positive. I think just try and play my game and try and do what I've been doing the past 2 seasons when I've not been in full-time. Just try to bring that to this club, and hopefully just push on.
Aaron, first of all, welcome back to the club. How does it feel to be back?
Thank you. It's feeling good. Good to be back amongst the boys and all that. So yeah, good.
Could you have imagined coming back as soon as you have?
No, not this soon, to be fair. But obviously the gaffer phoned me over the last weekend and just sort of had a few conversations about playing time and stuff like that, and just decided it was best for me to come down here on loan. So we got that sort of stuff sorted quite quickly.
And I suppose as well, how much of an impact did the gaffer have in that move? Because I know that he obviously has a lot of trust in you. Saw that last season, and he obviously rates you very highly.
Yeah, like you said, it's all about trust, and I think that's how Ross County were happy for me to come down here as well, because they trust that I'm going to come down here and play like I did last year. And that's all it is. It's about getting minutes, and it's about playing football, and hopefully I can perform to the level that I did last year again, and go and get a team moving up the table and playing well.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, in terms of last season, you didn't miss a game as well. You'll be hoping to try and replicate that.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Play as many games as possible for the club again this season, and obviously see what happens in the summer, whenever I go back. But yeah, just it's all about playing as much minutes as I can for the club now, and yeah, like I said before, just playing well and try and get as much points as possible.
And I know you've mentioned the conversations with the gaffer already, but what's his views for the season ahead, and what I suppose he views for your part of the team?
Yeah, obviously, you know what the gaffer's like. He spoke quite openly about trying to get me in, and he's brought me into play kind of thing. And the sort of views is always the same. It's get as much points as you can whenever you can. Obviously, try and get wins at home and try not to get beat away. Just pick up as much points. You know what the championship's like. It's hard. Every game's hard. So it's just about picking up as much points as possible, and where that takes you near the end of the season is where it takes you. Obviously, hopefully, try and get up to as close to the top of the table as you can, and yeah.
And I suppose there's been no issue as well reintegrating into the changing room either, has there?
Nah, not at all. Obviously, a lot of boys here from last year, and even a few of the new boys that have come in, I know them previously from other clubs and stuff like that. So yeah, easy to just sort of merge myself back into the boys.
And of course the car school back together as well.
Exactly. Me, Zach and Shug back in the car school.
And you know, with the way that the timing of this move's worked out, it does unfortunately mean you won't be able to play tomorrow, but you suppose you'll be raring to go come next Saturday.
Yeah, exactly. Just get a week training with the boys. Obviously I trained today, full week next week training, sort of try and get myself going again because I've missed quite a bit of football. So yeah, hopefully just get myself back in for next week.
And how did you find the training today?
Yeah, it was good. It was really lively. Obviously I trained here for a full season last year, so it was kind of similar again. It's just, you know what the boys are like, they're lively and sort of good standard and stuff like that. So yeah, it was good to be back.
And I know next week obviously we're away from home, but I suppose you'll be looking forward to your first match back here at Capel.
Yeah, I can't wait. Loved it here last year. Obviously getting the cowshed and that behind you, it was good. So can't wait to get back out there.